Within a few years of its release, God Wars, a VR game about gods at war, had taken over the sports, entertainment, and cultural spaces. It has a massive user base of 1.8 billion people. God Wars is so popular that some people make a living off of it. Mages and fighters from the Abyss Guild are battling a powerful twin-headed dragon in a boss dungeon. The fight is being streamed live, and viewers are leaving comments as they watch. The dragons are pressing the Abyss Guild, but a powerful magical attack from a mage keeps them at bay. The attack deals a lot of damage, and then the mighty mage Lee Seal appears and casts the powerful spell Roulette of the Gods. Massive wings emerge from the beautiful mage, and a notification says it's preparing a random skill. People in the live chat are ecstatic as they share their predictions for the random attack, and the most common answer is the appearance of Nike, the goddess of victory. The guild members are watching Lee Seal, and the dragons take advantage of the situation. However, the skill activates and summons Nike, who appears unexpectedly and exacts her divine punishment by piercing through one of the twin dragons' heads. The odds of that happening are slim, but the Abyss Guild struck gold. With only one head left, the guild pushes their attack and casts multiple spells at the same time. A powerful mage named Merlin casts a spell during the chaos. Oh, and the live chat is completely taken aback by this guy's appearance. He summons a flame dragon and unleashes a devastating fire blast that disintegrates the dragon's remaining head. The guild rejoices after completing the boss dungeon in the shortest amount of time. The live stream concludes, and a notification indicates that the replay has completed. Jung Hyunwoo, our hero, has been watching this replay while relaxing in his magnificent PC gaming chair. A few moments later, Hyunwoo is on the phone with his broker, negotiating the terms of a raid invitation. The pay is only $300 per day, but as an experienced player of the VR game God Wars, he recognizes a good deal when he sees one. His broker tells him that there are plenty of other guys willing to join, but Hyunwoo quickly responds that all he wants is to be paid more. The broker explains that he can't change the rate and abruptly hangs up. Hyunwoo, find a new broker. That one is stingy. While he's having a temper tantrum, his friend Hyuchu arrives and asks how he's doing. Hyunwoo complains about his new job with the raid, but his friend says he wishes he could be a part of such a raid. As they walk through the capsule cafe, Hyuchu explains that God Wars players earn a lot of money, but only a few are able to do so. In fact, only 1.5 million of the 1.8 billion players make a living from raids, so he tells Hyunwoo not to feel hemmed in because in the first place he's not untalented. Hyunwoo mulls over his friend's advice and considers his own abilities. God Wars lacks an auto-targeting system in comparison to other games. However, for a former baseball player like Hyunwoo, that difficult feature makes it more advantageous. He was a well-known pitcher before retiring due to injury, so he tells Hyuchu in his head that he'll never know how pitiful his mediocre talent makes him feel. He thanks Hyuchu for his advice and is asked if he still believes he can succeed in the game despite the Forerunners taking over God Wars. Hyunwoo agrees with his concern, but Hyuchu shifts the conversation to Hyunwoo's own character, Midas, a mage he obtained from the class card gacha after regrettably spending all of his money on it. Gachas are one of the quickest ways to lose money. I'm sure some of you are aware. Hyunwoo has been working hard for over 5 years to raise his character in order to earn money in God Wars because it is his only option. Deep down, he's doing this to protect his beloved family. The gamer inquires as to what Hyuchu is looking at on his phone. He responds that it's a novel about a main character going back in time to exact revenge. Hyunwoo bids Hyuchu farewell and exits the capsule cafe after remarking that it's a strange novel. He doesn't mind that it's raining outside and he doesn't have an umbrella. He's on his way home thinking about the novel Hyuchu is reading when he hears the loud screeching of tires nearby. Guess what he sees when he looks back? Of course, a truck is on its way. He was heading straight for him. Truck-kun crashes because Hyunwoo is stunned. The truck is on its side, wrecked and completely destroyed, but Hyunwoo is safe and sound. For the first time in manga history, Truck-kun missed him. He's stunned and believes he almost returned. He'd be waking up as a baby if this was an isekai. Hyunwoo wonders why he's so unlucky, but he figures he's lucky because he wasn't hit by the truck. However, by an unfathomable stroke of bad luck, a power line behind him snaps and whips him right in the back, electrocuting him. When he falls to the ground, onlookers rush to his aid and yell for another ambulance. Hyunwoo's life has been a disaster due to a lack of money and talent. As he loses consciousness, he swears that today has been the luckiest day of his life. When Hyunwoo awakens, he finds himself in a hospital bed with a doctor questioning him. The doctor informs him that he only has a brush burn and that he can be discharged right away. He is free to leave after paying his bill at the front desk. It appears that Hyunwoo is more concerned with the bill than with his injuries. He's walking home later that day thinking about his bad luck. He avoided a truck but was electrocuted by an electric pole. As a result, he had to waste money when he was already in debt. He sighs and decides he should just be thankful he wasn't hurt because all he has is his body. He arrives at his door, but the door lock informs him that his fingerprint is not registered. Hyunwoo wonders what's wrong because it worked the day before, so he tries again and again. However, the outcome remains the same, much to his chagrin. It's his niece Hyun who finally opens the door for him. Hyunwoo warmly greets his niece and inquires about her father, who is also his big brother. Jung Hyunwoo, who is sitting nearby, calls his attention and inquires about his visit to the hospital, but Hyunwoo simply replies, nothing. When his brother asks if he's really not sick, Hyunwoo says he'd still be hospitalized if he was seriously ill. Just then, he expresses his concern about the faulty door lock not recognizing him, claiming that the machine is most likely broken due to the age of the house. Taewoo, on the other hand, claims that the device is still operational and that the system cannot fail because it employs the same biometric algorithm as the God Wars capsules. Hyunwoo, who is suddenly sweating profusely, is taken aback by the news. He had no idea the home security device used the same login data as God Wars until he connected the dots and realized something terrible. He rushes out of the house, claiming he needs to go to the capsule cafe. He's on the phone with customer service at the capsule cafe, where he discovers he can't log into his God Wars account due to a hacking attempt. His biometric data no longer matches his login data, and unless he hires a lawyer, he will never be able to access his old account again. Biometric data is the best way to prove your identity in Hyunwoo's time because it cannot be faked or changed. It's very safe, which is why he can't believe he's in this situation right now. However, why isn't it working anymore? It was fine up until yesterday. Is it because he was electrocuted? Just then, he receives a text message informing him of the impending raid, which couldn't have come at a worse time. Hyunwoo believes it is all over now. He boosted his character by pouring all of his money into it, but it's now all gone. He considers his personal shortcomings as well as the struggles of his family and decides not to give up. With renewed zeal, he realizes that quitting God Wars is not an option. He should abandon his goal of becoming a ranker in the game and instead work as a miner or something. He should be able to cover his living expenses if he works hard enough. He has a family to support, so he must make money no matter what. Hyunwoo enters the capsule area and instructs Hyuchu to prepare a capsule for him. He has an $880 character creation card that he can use to create another account. He never expected to be in this situation again, but he enters the game anyway. He muses on the parallels between the real world and God Wars while creating another character named Minus. To begin with, you cannot begin if you do not have any funds. All of the items in the game are extremely expensive because many people want to live comfortably in the game world, even if it means spending a lot of money. Furthermore, selling items in the game world is difficult. He believes that if it were easy, he would not be in this situation. He's already decided on a god to worship, and now it's time to choose his character type. The gacha class selection is upon him once more, and he remembers while crying how much money he spent just to become a mage. He believes that there are only two ways to succeed in a game where everything is random. You must either be born extremely wealthy or extremely fortunate. Unfortunately, as we've seen, Hyunwoo is neither of these things. Hyunwoo examines the gacha class options and concludes that they are all garbage, but he's going to mine anyway, so why worry about his class? However, a rare gold Archmage class card catches his eye. He wonders if he's dreaming, but when he taps it, a notification appears. You attain the Archmage class, it says. He teleports into a lobby wearing new clothes and checks his status window. He cannot believe what he is witnessing. He is a legendary rank Archmage who is capable of learning all of the world's magic. Asmo, God War's third-ranked player, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to obtain the Archmage class. Suddenly, Hyunwoo has it as well, and without spending a fortune. That is the luckiest thing ever, and he has unexpectedly gone from weak to OP. If this is true, Hyunwoo decides to abandon his mining plans. Instead, he'll concentrate on quickly leveling up so he can participate in raids. However, he is confident that this is merely a temporary system error. He believes that once he reconnects, he will have a basic class like Warrior or Magician. However, after selecting Yes to begin the tutorial quest, Hyunwoo notices something unexpected. He can see hidden information in the quest window, which a regular class character cannot. He reads the hidden information and discovers a title reward called Tutorial Master, which grants him a plus 10 stat boost in all stats if he survives for more than 71 minutes. Normally, leveling up only grants 5 more stat points, so he can get 2 levels of everything just by completing the tutorial. That's a fantastic deal. The other people in the lobby are wondering what's wrong with him because he appears to be losing his marbles. One player speculates that he restarted because his account, like theirs, was suspended. I mean, he's not that far away. Now let's return to our MC. Hyunwoo has been playing God Wars for over 5 years, but this is the first time he has heard of the tutorial master, implying that it has yet to be discovered. That is a fortunate circumstance for him. Furthermore, if the hidden information he's seeing is genuine, it means that his choice of the Archmage class was not a system error. He enables the record function as the lobby's wall crumbles, excited by the possibilities to begin the tutorial. Secret information is valuable in God Wars, where a person can only get a good class through money or luck. Hyunwoo's Archmage class is an outlier, and he hopes this isn't a dream. A notification appears stating that the tutorial is about to begin. Everyone in the lobby is transported to a clearing in the middle of a forest, where monsters wielding weapons surround them. The crowd is in a frenzy, but someone in the crowd claims that these monsters aren't meant to be defeated. Hyunwoo agrees with the guy and believes that surviving 71 minutes in this tutorial will be difficult. When the monsters see the group, their aggro indicators turn red and they all attack. God Wars represents societal value in this day and age. Many people begin the game with their own dreams, but they all end up saying the same thing. God Wars is difficult as hell, and you'll be wasting money. The tutorial is where a beginner truly understands reality. The monsters annihilate the players one by one, sending the newcomers into a frenzy. The tutorial ends when they are killed, but some players are terrified and unable to move. Hyunwoo, being the Smurf player that he is unafraid of the monsters. In fact, he claims that dying quickly is preferable to getting to the main game. Well said, as if by a true gamer. Hyunwoo is fleeing 3 monsters when he notices something strange. He can see each of the monster's status windows, and he also understands how the aggro indicator works. Green indicates that they are in a peaceful state, but red indicates that the monster is preparing to attack him. At the last second, Hyunwoo dodges a lunging monster, disappearing from sight, and the monster's aggro indicator slowly turns green. Hyunwoo thanks his past self for remembering how to deal with the crazy orcs before returning his focus to the tutorial master reward condition of surviving for more than 71 minutes. Running away from the monsters isn't difficult for Hyunwoo, who has advanced knowledge of the game and 5 years of experience. Furthermore, it appears that no other newbies are aware of the hidden information. So with 1 hour to go, Hyunwoo is optimistic about meeting the reward conditions. Hyunwoo finishes his game and gets out of his capsule an hour later. It wasn't a nightmare. He muses. He watches himself while playing the tutorial recording. He survived, but he died later as a result of the orcs' rush. But the most important thing is that he was promoted to tutorial master. This means that the Archmage class card exists. He tries to calm himself down because the realization excites him. Hyunwoo arrives and wonders what he's doing as he's doing his thing. Hyunwoo explains that he is conflicted about starting from scratch. His friend wonders why he started from scratch after successfully raising a mage. Isn't it true that his account was suspended? But the truth is exactly that, and Hyunwoo remains silent with a sad expression on his face. Hyunwoo returns to the game and coldly warns Hyunwoo not to tell anyone about his situation. He feels bad about acting that way, but he can't tell anyone about his secret. There's no way the developers would just leave him alone if they found out. Not to mention that he'd be pursued by money-hungry individuals. Hyunwoo believes he gained this ability as a result of the electrocution accident, but this is a God-given opportunity. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change his impoverished life. He has no idea how long this ability will last, but he will make the most of it, especially for his big brother and Hyren. His journey begins when he arrives at the town of Beginning, the starting town for all new players. There are only a few hundred Archmages in the world, and Hyunwoo can't believe he's one of them. He remains focused, however, and directs his attention to first raising his levels and then going to raids. Jung Hyunwoo's luck has been abysmal, whether in real life or in the game God Wars. While walking around the town of Beginning, Hyunwoo discovers a puppy and a legendary quest, the highest-ranking quest in God Wars. Hyunwoo had only heard rumors about the legendary quest and can't believe he's found it. Okay, Hyunwoo, calm down. He wonders if he'll be able to do it, but he also knows that the quest will allow him to cover that month's living expenses. The puppy is sick and has lost its way, according to Hyunwoo's investigation of the quest's details. Hyunwoo is supposed to bring the elixir of vitality to the puppy, and of course he notices the hidden information or condition of the quest. First condition: over 30 years old and friendly with NPC Hayden. Second requirement: successful completion of NPC Hayden's manufacturing quest, elixir of vitality. Because this is Hyunwoo's first encounter with Hayden's quest, he assumes it is a hidden quest that occurs when certain conditions are met. Hyunwoo, like the other players, would have ignored the puppy if it weren't for his ability to see hidden information. The Archmage then vows to complete the quest, but first he must visit the Explorer Guild, as they manage the majority of the quests in the area. Unfortunately, no matter how much Hyunwoo dislikes getting involved with those guys, there's nothing he can do about it. Although various quests were available in God Wars, their generation rates decreased as the rank increased. At the same time, they could only be cleared a certain number of times per day, and NPCs could only give a certain number of quests per day. As a result, players received them ahead of time in order to trade them for in-game currency, and some would even camp in front of the NPCs in order to monopolize them. The Explorer Guild. It was impossible to manage all of the NPCs in the game, but some players refused to just stand there and watch as they ran amok. They eventually made their way to the town of Beginning, where newcomers could get help adjusting to the game. Of course, once a player left, they could never return, which meant that veteran fighters didn't exist. The Explorer Guild gradually established their base in the town of Beginning and expanded their influence while also expanding their services in a variety of ways. They pretended to be nice to newcomers by giving them free items and assisting them with hunting, all to improve their image. People soon began to support and evaluate the Explorer Guild positively. With everything going on, the game's developers declared that they would not interfere with in-game matters. And with that, the Explorer Guild became a legal entity. Hyunwoo can't help but express how much he didn't want to create a secondary character because of them as he stands outside the Explorer Guild base. Then inside, a member of the Explorer Guild informs him that there are 3 main types of courses. The first is called the Basic Course, and it allows Hyunwoo to receive a quest without having to wait. Following that is the Advanced Course, in which the Archmage will receive the quest as well as item borrowing services. The third is the Luxury Course, in which Hyunwoo will be assisted until the end of the quest in a party formed with an Explorer Guild helper. In addition to dollars, yen, and euros, the Explorer Guild member informs Hyunwoo that he can pay with in-game currency such as gold and items. Finally, the guy asks Hyunwoo what course he wants, and the Archmage replies casually that he'll take the Basic Course. Some people attempted to defraud the Explorer Guild in the past, but they were dragged away to the mining fields and forced to repay their debts. Elden players can mine resources for item production in the mining fields. Unfortunately, because the Explorer Guild provided services for the powerful and wealthy in the real world, those who wished to avoid them were forced to abandon their characters. They were the parasites who made their home in God Wars. The Explorer Guild member then hands Hyunwoo his quest list and confirmation card, instructing him to take the list to its proper location. So Hyunwoo rushes there and talks to some men about Hayden's quest, explaining that he needs to confirm its contents and learning that he must collect 10 goblin leathers. Hyunwoo is surprised to see so much information on NPC Hayden's linked quest, and he notices a hidden mission that will lead to a legendary quest among all of them. Hidden quest, 30 goblin leathers, of course, only Hyunwoo can see it, so one of the men wonders what he's looking at. Hyunwoo intends to figure out how to get the information on the remaining linked quest without alerting the men. But first, Hyunwoo must complete the simple quest. Excellent thinking, Hyunwoo. After that, Hyunwoo gains experience by killing goblins. Because Hyunwoo's stats are so high, he's even defeated the goblins without using magic and only a stone. It isn't long before the god Hyunwoo serves notices him and offers him a chance. The time for gacha has returned for those who do not have enough money to purchase a skill card. It's a free opportunity that appears whenever a character reaches a certain level, but Hyunwoo has never taken advantage of it. Sure enough, 90 of the 100 cards are normal. Is luck an egg after all? Hyunwoo wonders, disappointed that there isn't even a single unique rank. Hyunwoo then gains the Fireball skill before deciding to pursue the final remaining hidden quest. When Hyunwoo finds the man with the scar he was talking to earlier, the man is impressed that he's already finished and realizes how skilled he is. However, Hyunwoo denies this and even claims that he nearly died while attempting to kill one goblin. Wow, and the Academy Award goes to. In any case, Hyunwoo approaches the older man to claim his rewards. While he's doing so, the scared man surmises that Hyunwoo obtained his quest items from somewhere because he finished quickly. He also believes Hyunwoo will become a patron of the Explorer Guild one day. The old man, on the other hand, exclaims as he discovers Hyunwoo's collection of 30 goblin leathers. He compliments Hyunwoo on his skill as a player and requests that he bring him the goblin's resentment that only a small percentage of goblins possess. Shocked, Hyunwoo expresses his disinterest in this new quest and explains how he was forced to buy 30 goblin leathers because no one was selling 10 at the time. Hyunwoo is irritated that some details were not properly explained to him when the quest was sold to him, and he is concerned about how the men will compensate him for the 20 goblin leathers. The man with the scar apologizes to Hyunwoo, but he clarifies that it was the player's fault and that he cannot pay him. In addition, the guy informs Hyunwoo that under the contract, customers will be held liable if they do not follow the information provided to them. As if things will change, Hyunwoo asks the scared man if this means he will have to solve the new quest on his own. When the man confirms this, Hyunwoo leaves, complaining about the wasted goblin leathers. Meanwhile, the scared man is relieved that he has solved the problem and avoided getting into trouble with the guild master. Unbeknownst to him, Hyunwoo had been acting all along in order to obtain information on the remaining linked quest. Congratulations, Hyunwoo. With nothing standing in his way, Hyunwoo sets out to obtain the goblin's resentment and later returns to give it to the old man. Hyunwoo receives the elixir of vitality in exchange. With no time to waste, Hyunwoo returns to the puppy and administers the elixir of vitality to it. Hyunwoo can only hope to be rewarded with a skill card, wishing he could finally change his life. After a few seconds, the system informs Hyunwoo that the puppy or wolf with no name will now serve him as its master. At the same time, Hyunwoo attains the title Master of the Divine Beast. Unfortunately, a divine beast is unchangeable, so there will be no rags to riches story for Hyunwoo. Despite his displeasure, Hyunwoo has no choice but to accept the puppy and hope for the best. The system then asks Hyunwoo to name the puppy, so the player calls it Lucky. With that, the nameless puppy gains a new life, but Hyunwoo's heartbeat suddenly increases when he sees a bright light, resulting in a forced logout. When Hyunwoo wakes up in the capsule cafe where he plays the game, he walks over to the door, ignoring his friend Hyukju and another guy. Seeing that Hyunwoo isn't in the mood, Hyukju tells his other friend that he's been acting strangely since his mage account was banned. The two continue discussing Hyunwoo's problem, but the player ignores them and thinks about his puppy, Fenrir. It turns out that the cute little puppy is none other than Fenrir, the strongest divine beast in God Wars who is unrivaled in close combat. Hyunwoo can't believe he was able to obtain Fenrir after becoming an archmage, knowing it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will never be repeated. Of course, Hyunwoo is aware that things are only beginning to improve for him, but his train of thought is disrupted by a phone call from his niece, Hyrin. Hyunwoo cheerfully answers the phone and tells Hyrin he'll get some chicken before going home, only to be surprised when the girl begins crying. Later, Hyunwoo visits the hospital and consoles Hyrin, who is looking through the glass window at her unconscious father in bed. The doctor approaches Hyunwoo and asks if he is Taowoo's guardian, explaining that the patient's blood pressure dropped due to his heart's functions being temporarily weakened. Thankfully, it's nothing serious for the time being, but the doctor is concerned about Taowoo's pacemaker. The doctor informs Hyunwoo that Taowoo's pacemaker must be changed on a regular basis and that he must undergo rehabilitation. However, due to financial constraints, the brothers have yet to consult a cardiologist. Hyunwoo muses on the value of money that night while waiting in the corridor with his sleeping niece. Doesn't it always come down to money? There's no reason for Hyunwoo to hesitate now that he has Fenrir. He intends to sell all of the information he can for money and to collect valuable items, but first he must level up the archmage he recently acquired. When Hyunwoo returns to the game, he first visits the beginner's hunting ground. The other players take notice of the puppy Lucky, and who wouldn't? I mean, look at him bouncing around like a little potato. They have no idea, of course, that the puppy is actually Fenrir. While the other players are admiring Lucky, Hyunwoo considers the two items he received after completing the legendary quest to heal his puppy. First and foremost, Hyunwoo does not need to find a party because he has a companion who will aggravate the monsters. Hyunwoo can essentially play alone. When he reaches the desired level, he will be able to leave the town of beginning. Sure, hunting will become more difficult, but it will be worthwhile because the rewards will improve. Second, Hyunwoo obtained a skill card from an Archmage's Apostle, the War Dragon. As a result, Hyunwoo attempts the random card gacha once more and receives a unique rank skill card. Surprisingly, Hyunwoo gains Telekinesis, a skill reserved for telekinetic mages. Hyunwoo is aware that they are rare and are known to use an unseen force to move objects in the air in any way. In battle, Telekinesis is also useful for sabotaging the opposition's movements. Only telekinetic mages can learn the skill among mage-class jobs. However, this is a limitation that does not apply to archmages, who can learn any magic. Things have been going well for Hyunwoo, and he can't help but wonder if Lucky is the source of his good fortune. Soon after, Hyunwoo resumes hunting and travels to the Goblin Forest, where Lucky viciously attacks those repulsive creatures. Lucky, on the other hand, is still adorable. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo dispatches the goblins with Fireball. After the fight, Hyunwoo can't believe how smoothly the hunt went, and Lucky appears to agree with him. Then he decides to go deeper into the forest, but not before checking on his little ball of luck and teaching it how to sit and do a handshake. Moments later, Hyunwoo encounters a boss monster raid, and the system indicates that the Goblin Champion will appear in 1 hour. A boss monster raid is unrivaled in terms of defeating field monsters. It is known as the Flower of God Wars, where players can obtain incredible rewards. However, boss monster raids are extremely difficult and can only be completed by top rankers. A boss monster raid is frequently compared to a star in the sky because everyone can see it, but only a select few can reach it. Hyunwoo is aware that he still has a long way to go before becoming a ranker, so he simply reports the raid to the community and goes to get some snacks for Hyren. But before submitting the report, Hyunwoo considers defeating the boss monster instead. Nobody is in the area, and Lucky has already defeated the other lowly monsters, so is it wrong for him to be greedy for a single moment? Although Hyunwoo has been taking safer paths recently, there's no guarantee that his life will improve. Hyunwoo is sick of passing these opportunities on to others, but not this time. With his family in mind, Hyunwoo decides to confront the boss monster on his own. I mean with Lucky. Hyunwoo is already familiar with the Goblin Champion's behavior patterns due to his extensive viewing of raid videos of the Goblin Champion. Hyunwoo has never attempted a solo raid, but don't forget about Lucky. So Hyunwoo and Lucky team up to hunt the boss, and the Archmage is confident they'll be successful. As the countdown comes to an end, Hyunwoo finishes digging a hole with a shovel he purchased. When the Goblin Champion appears, it attacks Hyunwoo right away. Fortunately, Hyunwoo leaps out of the way, and he successfully leads the boss into his trap. Once inside the hole, Hyunwoo throws a bottle of oil at it before lighting it on fire with his fireball. Because the champion goblin's behavior patterns are determined by its remaining health, it would be more difficult for inexperienced players who have only fought field monsters. Even an alt account with a lot of money will not try to attack it alone, but Hyunwoo believes that if he targets and neutralizes its behavior patterns, things will be easier. Despite being doused in fire, the Goblin Champion attempts to climb out of the hole, but Lucky bites its hand. No way on Lucky's watch. Even though the champion goblin's remaining life is limited, it refuses to give up and leaps out of the hole. At that point, Hyunwoo realizes that the boss's attack pattern will change, but Lucky has no intention of letting the boss hurt his master. Lucky ragdolls the Goblin Champion, and Hyunwoo finishes it off with Fireball. As a result, Hyunwoo earns the title Champion Goblin Hunter. He celebrates with Lucky, reflecting on how nice it would have been if he could have broadcast the fight live. You can bet points with the audience, get a lot of sponsors, and all that good stuff. Simultaneously, Hyunwoo gains other titles such as Champion Goblin Solo Hunter, and Together with the Divine Beast. And the War Dragon grants Hyunwoo a chance after his great victory, implying that he must engage in card gacha. But all of a sudden, Lucky notices something. When Hyunwoo turns around, he sees the Champion Goblin mask floating in the air and a bright red light. Following the game, Hyunwoo checks his phone and discovers that the mask costs 1.1 million won. That just goes to show how expensive raid items are, making Hyunwoo curious about the mask's performance. Hyunwoo understandably wants to use the mask himself, but he doesn't have much of a choice because of his brother's medical bills and their living expenses. Hyunwoo wishes he had more money, but his phone rings and he becomes distracted. The caller is from the insurance company, and they want to discuss the compensation for Hyunwoo's electrical accident. Hyunwoo realizes that the call is the solution to his problems, so he tells the person on the other end of the line that he'll call them back because he's had trauma and anxiety since the accident, and he's having a difficult time right now. Hyunwoo later instructs Hukju to deposit 300,000 won into his account. Hukju is taken aback and asks Hyunwoo if he got any good items, but his friend responds that this is not the case. Hyunwoo explains that when he received a call from the insurance company, he lied about his condition, claiming he was going insane from anxiety following the accident. He even mentioned having PTSD symptoms, and just like that, Hyunwoo received a sizable insurance payout. As Hyunwoo prepares to play the game, he reflects on his actions and admits they were wrong. But as a result, he's been able to secure a month's salary and can now concentrate on his development. Hyunwoo then connects to God Wars, knowing that every second counts. Hyunwoo bombards some goblins with Fireball in the Goblin Forest and becomes irritated when they continue to hide behind their shields. So he fires an ice arrow, which is more of a bullet than an arrow, at them. In addition, Hyunwoo boasts that arrow-type magic is best suited to combating opponents who hide behind a shield. Hyunwoo, standing on a tree branch, makes sure to kill every single goblin, and Lucky, of course, has his back. A goblin is about to throw its axe at Hyunwoo, but Lucky bites the cunning creature. Lucky has made Hyunwoo feel more secure, and the two are off to the next hunting location. There, Hyunwoo examines the rare goblin set he's amassed, which contains goblin grudges. He now has a lot of basic equipment from goblins, but no unique items such as the champion's mask and no set effect. Outside of boss raids, Hyunwoo realizes that unique items are difficult to come by, and he can only hope for one to fall from the sky. Somewhere in the forest, a man desperately tries to flee his pursuer, but he is killed by a weapon. The pursuer, whose name is revealed to be Cheng, is then approached by his companions and asked if he has apprehended the priest. Cheng's friends are surprised that the priest died with a single shot, pointing out that monk guys with low health aren't much fun and can't be played with like warriors. When they're captive, another priest speaks up, threatening to report the savages to the guild. Everything changes. But one of them reveals that it doesn't matter because they're using alt accounts, and he reminds the priest that due to the level restriction, he can't summon anyone to the forest. Following that, the men begin beating up the priest, daring him to log out but promising to see him again once he reconnects. When Hyunwoo heard the priest's screams earlier, he decided to look into it but not get involved. Hyunwoo, who's still standing on a tree branch, sees the civilian killers, who do not leave the town of beginning even after reaching level 12 and only slaughter beginners. These guys enjoy torturing others, so they spend all of their time online. Sure irritates Hyunwoo, but he knows that picking a fight with them at his current level would be foolish. He then decides to leave, but Lucky is enraged and appears to want to maul the men to death. Hyunwoo is thinking about how he and Lucky defeated the champion goblin and wonders if they have a chance against the civilian killers. Later, the civilian killers seek out new recruits to terrorize. Cheng can't wait to attack a player, but he gets hit in the face with a fireball. The other two guys, shocked, demand to know who injured their friend. So Hyunwoo comes out and declares that he will broadcast everything under the banner, hunting down civilian killers. Hello, I'm an Archmage streamer. Hyunwoo introduces himself, causing the men to panic. The civilian killers are surprised to see a streamer, and one of them is so terrified that he covers his face instead of player ID. However, what these guys don't realize is that Hyunwoo simply lied, knowing how much they fear live broadcasts. Hyunwoo shoots one civilian killer with an ice arrow without warning, which the other guy notices. The last civilian killer realizes that only an Archmage can use 2 or more elements, which leads him to believe that the player in front of him is wealthy and using an alt account. Terrified, the last civilian killer attempts to flee, only to be bitten by Lucky. When Hyunwoo approaches him, he asks if he is truly an Archmage streamer. He doesn't even wait for Hyunwoo to respond before saying he'll remember his ID. Is he attempting to frighten Hyunwoo? Unconcerned, Hyunwoo tells the civilian killer to do whatever he wants before killing him. Following that, Hyunwoo notices in the system that the opposition's karma score is low. Karma is awarded based on in-game actions, and it decreases if a player commits evil acts against other players or NPCs. Hyunwoo is pleased that he was able to teach those thugs a lesson, and he is pleased that the variety of items he can loot has grown. Also, Hyunwoo used to believe that item looting was all luck, but now he can see them and tell which ones are good. When Hyunwoo discovers the champion goblin's leather armor and leather trousers, he immediately recognizes them as one-of-a-kind items that work in tandem with the champion goblin's mask. The goblin champion's set effect is activated when Hyunwoo equips the items without much thought. His stats improve by 25 points and all damage done to goblins improves by 10%. Hyunwoo examines his status window, which displays his impressive stats. He recalls barely passing 100 intelligence after reaching level 15 with his previous character, and he's certain that others will think it's a glitch if they see his stats. Meanwhile, Lucky howls, much to Hyunwoo's surprise. Lucky, it turns out, has gained new abilities from the Pantheon. The system requests that Hyunwoo choose a new ability for Lucky, so the Archmage selects a golden card, which is a legendary rank. Treasure Hunter. Lucky will be able to detect rare hidden treasures with this legendary rank. Hyunwoo wonders if treasures refer to items, and this brings to mind the luckiest player in God Wars. He was Guild Master Lapo, and he fought monsters with his divine beast Fenrir Tul. Lapo's content primarily consisted of discovering hidden dungeons and items, but he was so fortunate that some people began to question whether it was all real or fake. Hyunwoo is curious whether Lapo's luck came from the treasure hunter skill, so he goes deeper into the forest with Lucky to put the puppy's hunting ability to the test. Sure enough, Lucky has a keen eye for expensive rare ingredients. Hyunwoo can't help but admire Lucky, but he comes to a halt when Lucky notices a passageway under a tree. As Hyunwoo inspects it, he realizes it is the goblin spellcaster's secret hideout, a hidden dungeon. Hyunwoo discovers a secret quest and reward, as well as the fact that he is the first player to discover the hidden dungeon in the town of beginning. Selling that information could net Hyunwoo about a month's worth of living expenses, but the Archmage is unsure if that is the best course of action. Finally, Hyunwoo decides to break open the dungeon. Yeah, what kind of gamer just chooses to sell information all the time? Lucky makes his grand entrance into the dungeon after a few minutes and attacks a goblin. It isn't long before Hyunwoo follows Lucky and uses his fireball to dispatch a couple of goblins, infuriating the level 16 goblin spellcaster. Then Hyunwoo declares that they will launch an attack on the hidden dungeon within the town of Beginning, the goblin spellcaster's secret hideout. Hyunwoo observes the goblin spellcaster as Lucky enjoys dealing with the lowly goblins. He is aware of its low stamina, but is a boss monster who uses powerful attack magic while its minions buy time. In other words, if Hyunwoo is patient enough, he will be able to track it down. Soon after, Hyunwoo stabs the goblin spellcaster in the neck and follows up with a fireball. Despite the fact that Hyunwoo has caused significant damage, the goblin spellcaster remains alive and refuses to surrender. Hyunwoo is now concerned because he is unsure what the goblin spellcaster will do next. Unfortunately, the goblin spellcaster is about to unleash a devastating attack on Hyunwoo. But once again, Lucky comes to the rescue and bites the goblin spellcaster in the leg, causing the boss casting to be interrupted. Lucky has given Hyunwoo a chance to make his move, so the Archmage fires another fireball at the goblin spellcaster, killing it. The goblin spellcaster has been defeated, time to rejoice. But wait, the goblin spellcaster has not died. Hyunwoo has no idea what happened, and to make matters worse, the goblin spellcaster has become even more enraged. "I'm back," the goblin spellcaster exclaims. "Now the war of gods shall begin." Hyunwoo has no idea what the goblin spellcaster is talking about, but doesn't stay long enough to explain before disintegrating. Could it be a glitch? Anyway, after killing the goblin spellcaster, Hyunwoo receives several alerts, and he's already filmed all of the evidence videos he intends to sell later. Then he looks over his items and notices the goblin spellcaster's cane. Hyunwoo is confident that he will be able to make money with it, because it is a unique grade level 10 usable staff with a 31 attack stat. Hyunwoo is relieved to have obtained the one-of-a-kind item, and he soon discovers that it cannot be traded. He can't help but express his rage, but the system then generates the main scenario. Kim Min-soo, a scientist, created the perfect virtual reality world, God Wars, many years ago. When reporters asked why he made a game using new technologies, he said he just wanted to make a story. He added that it all began with his personal interest, and that he had no intention of profiting from it. Min-soo died unexpectedly, and people searched God Wars for the story he wanted to tell through the game. However, no one has been able to locate that story in the last 5 years. That story will now be revealed right in front of Hyunwoo, and the Archmage cannot believe it. Players have been looking everywhere for that story, so Hyunwoo was surprised to find it in the town of Beginning, especially after many people complained and asked if there was an error in the game. But now that he thinks about it, Hyunwoo realizes that the Explorer Guild ruined the town of Beginning, so no one went looking there. Someone might have discovered it before Hyunwoo, but in any case, it's an opportunity for him. This time, Hyunwoo has no intention of informing the community, and he intends to face it alone. Lucky appears to agree with Hyunwoo's decision, and the Archmage, of course, thanks his companion for his assistance. The system then informs Hyunwoo that he hasn't used the War Dragon's opportunity yet, so he chooses to pull whatever for now because the main scenario is more important. But then Hyunwoo notices a glowing card and picks it up, realizing it's a legendary skill called Polymorph. Hyunwoo can use it to transform into a previously hunted creature. This is an exclusive skill, but Hyunwoo is unsure whether he should be pleased with it. When Hyunwoo returns to the town of Beginning, he checks his quest window and discovers that in order to continue with the quest, he must mention the words "Traces of the Nameless God" to the NPC Jung. Jung is the NPC the player meets after completing the town of Beginning, and its house functions similarly to an instance dungeon with a separate area created just for the player. Hyunwoo realizes he doesn't need to be on the lookout for any Explorer Guild members there, and he and Lucky enter Jung's house. When Lucky sees Jung, he starts barking. Jung asks Hyunwoo if he visited him to leave that town and march into the wider world, but the Archmage admits that he is interested in something else. When Hyunwoo asks Jung about the traces of the Nameless God, the big guy responds quickly. The Nameless God, according to Jung, refers to those who were defeated in the War of Gods and stepped down from the pantheon. Because they can no longer be called gods and have been forgotten by people, they left behind their legacy somewhere in that world after being defeated in the war and before losing their divinity. Yev inquires whether Hyunwoo is truly interested in the traces of the Nameless God, to which the Archmage responds that he is. That's when Jung takes off his ring and admits he's been looking for traces for a long time but hasn't found the end of the truth. However, it may be different for you, Jung says as he presents Hyunwoo with his ring. Jung tells Hyunwoo to find Sahalin and Weiger and give her the ring, claiming that the girl will guide him. Jung wishes Hyunwoo luck as well, and the Archmage is eager for the main scenario to begin. Jung then asks Hyunwoo if he's ready to leave that town and venture out into the wider world. If Hyunwoo graduates from the town of beginning, he will no longer be able to return there. Hyunwoo responds enthusiastically, and he is soon transported to the city of Wygar. One thing that all players agree on: God Wars truly begins once you leave the town of beginning. Without wasting time, Hyunwoo stuffs Lucky into his coat as he searches for Sahalan, ignoring those who notice that he's not even looking around. Some people even wonder if he's a seasoned player who's raising an alt account or secondary character. Then Hyunwoo recalls the ring he received from Jung, which has additional effects on par with a legendary. It also has set effects such as Sahalan's ring. Hyunwoo wonders if he'll continue to receive rewards as he progresses through the main scenario, which makes him happy because everything seems to be going his way. Hyunwoo eventually finds the NPC Sahalan at her house, where the girl asks him how he got inside that place, which is hidden by magic. Instead of responding, Hyunwoo shows Sahalan the ring Jung gave him. As a result, Hyunwoo completes the quest and prepares to leave to complete the next one, only to be interrupted by the girl. Sahalan can't believe Jung sent a novice like Hyunwoo, claiming that she doesn't talk to brats who only catch goblins. Unfortunately, Sahalan wants Hyunwoo to leave town and prove himself to her by hunting 10,000 orcs. As a result, a new main scenario quest has been created, which has left Hyunwoo speechless. With no other option, Hyunwoo departs with Lucky to complete the difficult quest, but he is aware that it will consume too much of his time. The system then informs Hyunwoo that he must hunt orcs in order to find a fragment of the nameless god. That convinces Hyunwoo that the quest isn't about hunting 10,000 orcs, and he rushes to the forest to begin the task. Hyunwoo has been through a lot, both inside and outside of God Wars. He must play the famous virtual reality game in order to support his sick brother and niece. Although he stumbled once when he lost his main account and character, he recovered and returned to the game stronger than ever. He now has a puppy companion, a divine beast named Lucky, who is eager to assist him in completing his quests. Hyunwoo still has many monsters to defeat and quests to complete, but he knows he can do anything with his family by his side and Lucky by his side. As Hyunwoo travels to the forest to hunt, he notices other players struggling to defeat an orc. From a cliff, he considers the true goal of that quest, which is to obtain the item randomly dropped by hunting orcs. Because Sahalan told him to catch 10,000 orcs, the item should have a 0.01% drop rate if he caught them at random. But because Hyunwoo has eyes that can detect hidden information, he only needs to find the one with the fragment. Of course, Hyunwoo is immediately confronted with a problem. Other players are already on the lookout for the orc carrying the fragment. Despite the fact that it is only a game, Hyunwoo believes it would be too much for him to forcefully remove the fragment or pick a fight with the players, especially since they arrived first. Lucky, don't you think so? Then one of the players suddenly stops moving. He apparently did not log out a long time ago, so he is forcibly logged out. If a player plays God Wars for more than 5 hours, they will be automatically logged out. As the players continue to defend themselves against the orcs, Hyunwoo comes up with a solution to his problem. Following that, another player is forcibly logged out. All viewers, please look over there. Hyunwoo exhorts, "I found a party in danger." One of the players immediately assumes Hyunwoo is a streamer and begs for assistance. Before jumping off the cliff with Lucky, Hyunwoo declares to his viewers that he will now help the players. What a hero. Lucky bites the orc in a split second and flees, leaving the monster enraged. The orc is then stopped from approaching Lucky by Hyunwoo's fireball. The orc does not die immediately, but Hyunwoo is relieved that it did a lot of damage. At the same time, he wonders if the thrill is the reason why people spend so much money on the game. The orc attacks Hyunwoo seconds later, but the Archmage easily avoids the attack. Without further ado, Hyunwoo fires ice arrows at the orc, all the while reflecting on how he survived for 5 years in that game on nothing but effort. He uses fireball again after he has hit the orc with his arrows. Hyunwoo is certain that orcs are no match for him, and he succeeds in reducing the terrifying orc to ashes. You have hunted an orc. The player, who was forced to log out earlier, returns to the game. He is surprised to see that the orc has already died, and he expresses his heartfelt gratitude to Hyunwoo for assisting them. Hyunwoo, who appears to be embarrassed, says that as beginners, they should help each other. Hyunwoo then goes ahead with his plan. People who attack a monster first usually get first dibs on the items, which is an unspoken rule in God Wars. So if they follow that rule, Hyunwoo has no claim to the item. Hyunwoo informs the players that he's on a live broadcast, but we all know that isn't the case. He's also not a streamer. Hyunwoo then thanks his viewers for their support and speaks as if they want him to loot the items after he has hunted down the orc. He also pretends to be upset and tells the audience that he can't do that because he only interfered halfway through. In other words, the other players have the ability to loot items. Now comes the exciting part. Please take them, one of the players says, urging Hyunwoo to take whatever he can find. But Hyunwoo refuses, so the other player adds that they would have been wiped out if it hadn't been for him. Hyunwoo agrees with the players with a smile because it's not polite for him to continue refusing. He also shows the players to his imaginary viewers and says that he has such an amazing opportunity because of them. Finally, Hyunwoo begins item looting and vows to hold an event if a rare item appears. It isn't long before 3 items are added to Hyunwoo's inventory, but they are all random. That is at least what he wants the players to believe. The truth is that he got what he needed and is grateful to the players for allowing him to keep the items. Then one of the players approaches Hyunwoo and asks him what his streamer nickname is, saying he'd love to promote his stream to his friends. Hyunwoo thinks he'll start streaming for real one day, so he responds with Archmage Streamer. Later, Hyunwoo returns to Sahalin's house and hands over the fragment to the NPC. Sahalin remarks that Hyunwoo must have been fortunate, and it is at this point that the Archmage completes the quest, causing him to level up. At the same time, the system asks Hyunwoo if he wants the skill reward, and if he says yes, he gets Long Toss, which increases the damage of Hyunwoo's magic attack based on the distance between him and his enemy. By the way, it's a common skill in the mage realm. This is a really sweet skill, exclaims Hyunwoo, because no skill compares to Long Toss when hunting gigantic monsters. When he notices Sahalin examining a fragment, he inquires as to its purpose. So Sahalin asks Hyunwoo why it's so difficult to find the traces of the nameless god. When the Archmage does not respond, Sahalin explains that a barrier has been erected so that only those who used to follow the gods can get close to the traces. She also asks Hyunwoo what needs to be done to break through that barrier, to which the Archmage responds that they must act like believers. That's right, Sahalin says. Sahalin then fashions a ring from the fragment of the nameless god and presents it to Hyunwoo. It allows the user to temporarily breach the barrier of the altar of a god who has lost his name. When Sahalin asks what he wants to do, Hyunwoo makes it clear that there is no danger that can stop him. Danger is Hyunwoo's middle name, so get with the program, buddy. We used to call it broke, but we don't talk about it anymore. As a result, the main scenario quest list has been updated with a new quest. Hyunwoo learns from the quest window that he must locate the secret altar in the forest reeking of fish and learn its secrets. He can also progress to Slayer after completing the quest. But it's the reward, a legendary skill card, that grabs Hyunwoo's attention. A legendary skill card simply indicates that the quest is extremely difficult. This is Hyunwoo's first encounter with a legendary skill as a reward, and it motivates him to complete the quest as soon as possible. Hyunwoo knows that finding the altar's location is only a matter of time with Lucky, and Lucky once again agrees with his master. Even though Lucky is only barking, Hyunwoo believes he is saying that he will find the secret altar for him right away. Lucky, you're the best. That night in the forest reeking of fish, Hyunwoo and Lucky discover the entrance to the secret altar. As expected, the entrance is well hidden, so Hyunwoo examines the dungeon information. The dungeon's rank is legendary and only those with a level 20 or lower can enter. When Hyunwoo defeats the decaying orc, he will be awarded the title Source of the Fishy Smell. When Hyunwoo imagines what the orc looks like, he can't help but think it's stronger than a regular orc. He also considers the fact that only those with a level 20 or lower can enter, and he soon decides to look for something else. What are you talking about? But Hyunwoo, you eat danger for breakfast, don't you? Naturally, Lucky is surprised and disappointed by Hyunwoo's decision. Hyunwoo emphasizes that hunting the boss monster at his current level is difficult, and he wishes to leave the dungeon alone. Hello, how are you? Hyunwoo, you've reached level 11. He adds that if it's level 20 or lower, they can simply enter when he's at the appropriate level. There's no need to purposefully make it harder on myself, Hyunwoo says. In any case, he asks Lucky to accompany him, but on the way they come across a group of players fighting orcs. Hyunwoo realizes that the tank is the party leader after the players blame each other for not doing their jobs properly. When Hyunwoo first joined a party 5 years ago, he struggled to keep up with the other members. Not long after, guys with money to burn began purchasing skills and items, and the gap between the players began to widen. Hyunwoo used to despise seeing those players who spent a lot of money on games, but others probably see him that way now. Moments later, Hyunwoo spots an orc going about its business and shoots it with an ice arrow before launching a fireball at it. "You leveled up," exclaims the system, who's having a good time. Later, other players begin talking about the lone mage who has been slaying orcs alone for several days in the fishy forest. Yes, they're referring to Hyunwoo. He's known as the one-combo man because he completes the hunt in a single combo. Some of them have heard that this player is an archmage and a streamer who carries a divine beast with him. Hey, Lucky is not carried by Hyunwoo. Lucky is a self-sufficient boy or puppy. Others believe Hyunwoo is a gold spoon born into a wealthy family, which piques the interest of one particular man. Simultaneously, he wonders what item he'll get if he kills a wealthy archmage. Hyunwoo notices that his ears have been itchy for a few days. Hyunwoo, it's because players are gossiping about you. Could you please concentrate? As an orc charges at Hyunwoo, the archmage strikes it with a fireball, knocking it down instantly. Home run. Hyunwoo eventually reaches level 20 and celebrates with Lucky. Then he checks the level up card for his reward, but he doesn't get too excited because there haven't been any useful ones since level 11. But then Hyunwoo and Lucky both see something that surprises them. "I got a unique," exclaims Hyunwoo as he finishes the game in the capsule cafe. "Oh, my mistake. It isn't Hyunwoo. It's just some random guy who got a one-of-a-kind ring." He wants to treat the other players to lunch, but Hyunwoo is grumpy and refuses to eat. Hyunwoo then asks his friend, Hupju, to help him get back into the game, which surprises the guy because Hyunwoo doesn't normally refuse free food. Within the game, Hyunwoo examines his new skill card, Dragon's Majesty. All targets in the specified proximity who are exposed to the Dragon's Majesty will receive 10% more damage from all sources. Furthermore, the specified proximity increases with the user's level. God, it's so hard to keep a poker face. You see, Hyunwoo was just acting upset because he didn't want anyone to know about Dragon's Majesty. Now he compares Dragon's Majesty to Long Toss, ecstatic that every player who joins him in battle will gain a 10% attack boost. Furthermore, by simply showing up to a raid and standing there, Hyunwoo will be more useful than an average player. But, of course, Hyunwoo isn't content with just that. He plans to make a lot of money so that he can send his niece to school, buy a nice car, and move his family to a big house with their own rooms. Take a look at Lucky. He has no idea what Hyunwoo is on about, but he responds so well. Hyunwoo and Lucky arrive at the secret altar's entrance moments later. He then dons the ring fashioned from the fragment of the nameless god, which he requires to enter the hidden dungeon. Following that, Hyunwoo inserts his arm into the hole in the ground and quickly detects the dungeon's boundary. Hyunwoo is able to deceive the barrier with the ring, allowing him to enter. It isn't long before the ground cracks open and a flight of stairs appears in front of Hyunwoo. There is no turning back now. As a result, when the system asks Hyunwoo if he wants to enter the dungeon, he eagerly responds, yes. Hyunwoo and Lucky easily defeat 22 scent-drunk orcs inside the dungeon. If it were a stream, Hyunwoo is confident he would continue to receive donations, but he can't reveal himself to the world just yet. Hyunwoo then enters the boss room, where all stats are reduced by 10%. Hyunwoo isn't surprised when the decaying orc opens its eyes and reveals itself to be an undead-type monster. He is eager to kill the decaying orc in order to obtain a legendary skill card, but he is taken aback by the monster's HP, which is 30 times that of a regular orc. The decaying orc tries to smash Hyunwoo with its fist without warning, but the archmage moves Lucky out of the way. The decaying orc continues to attack Hyunwoo, and he notices that despite its incredible HP, it moves slowly. Hyunwoo wonders if having a high HP means having a slow speed, realizing he was scared for nothing. Even after casting a spell from a distance, Hyunwoo has about 2 seconds of free time at that speed, so Hyunwoo fires a fireball at the decaying orc, but the monster suffers only minor damage. A boss is still a boss. It may take some time, but Hyunwoo is confident he'll be able to defeat the decaying orc. After several hours, Hyunwoo defeats the decaying orc. Hyunwoo receives several titles at the same time, but all he can think about is the reward. Later, Hyunwoo visits Sahalin's house, where the NPC congratulates him on discovering the traces of the nameless god. Hyunwoo tries to speak up, but Sahalin continues to praise him for accomplishing so much in such a short period of time. She then gives Hyunwoo a skill book as a present, though she warns him that it may be too much for him. Again, Hyunwoo tries to tell Sahalin something and takes the book, but the NPC interrupts him. Sahalin questions Hyunwoo about what the decaying orc said before it died, leaving the archmage frustrated. So shall we return to the dungeon and see what happened? Earlier, Hyunwoo was checking his reward when the decaying orc spoke up, scaring him to death. Lucky was terrified as well. When the decaying orc realized what the guy was after, it mocked Hyunwoo, and the archmage remembered that the goblin spellcaster also rambled on before dying. The decaying orc then asked Hyunwoo if he truly wanted a weapon that could end even myths, which stunned him. Sahalin asked Hyunwoo to do her a favor now that she knows he's interested in a specific weapon and promises to tell him everything she learns later. A new main scenario quest has been created. Hyunwoo's mission is to find the Annihilator Orc, and his reward is Sahalin's ring. Hyunwoo accepts the quest right away. Hyunwoo will be awarded the title knowing the Almighty class upon completion. That immediately catches Hyunwoo's attention because it demonstrates the existence of a mythic rank weapon. When God Wars first came out, many people wondered if there was anything beyond the legendary rank. The developer didn't give a direct answer, only saying that it might exist, and no one was able to find a mythic rank item after that interview. As a result, it was only a rumor in the end. Now, as he travels with Lucky to complete his quest, Hyunwoo mulls over his options. He understands that he cannot act hastily, and that if he does, his family may be jeopardized. The fallout from revealing that information is too much for Hyunwoo to handle, and he's certain it will have an impact even in the outside world. However, if Hyunwoo properly shares that information after making all necessary preparations, things may go his way. But first, Hyunwoo must complete the quest and ensure Lucky's safety inside his cloak, which is extremely stuffy. After finishing the game, Hyunwoo returns home, wondering if everything will be fine. He has the Annihilator Orc guide on his phone, which has a difficult clearing requirement but no good reward. Despite this, many people try to clear it because the Annihilator Orc is considered a trophy to be hunted in order to be recognized as a rising rookie in God Wars. It's similar to a requirement because nowadays, you need as much information on your resume as possible. The Annihilator Orc is a monster with an unnecessarily high clearing difficulty, and Hyunwoo must accept that he will not be able to hunt it alone. Do I have to find a party this time? Hyunwoo is googling on his phone when his brother Taewoo, who is doing better after being hospitalized, approaches and asks what he's doing. Hyunwoo responds that it's nothing and that he's just working, but his brother is skeptical. When Hyunwoo notices Taewoo's reaction, he tells him that he's been in a good mood lately because his work has been going well, so there's no need to be serious. Taewoo, on the other hand, is concerned that Hyunwoo will never marry. Hyunwoo is shocked, but he tries not to think about what his brother said and instead advises him to concentrate on his daughter, Hyeren. He's relieved that things have been going well lately, and then he won't have to worry about money for a few months if he sells some hidden information and items. But, unfortunately, Hyunwoo needs to do more. He should also follow through on his decision to play solo. On going out, Hyunwoo says to his brother as he walks away. Hyunwoo tells himself as he walks to the capsule cafe that he doesn't need to find a party because he has Lucky. Hyunwoo, you are correct. With your divine beast, you can do anything. When Hyunwoo enters the game, he greets Lucky, who has clearly missed him. The two then prepare to go hunting, and Hyunwoo wonders how the name Midas will spread if he starts looking for a party, even if it's a common one. Hyunwoo's life has been going well, but he doesn't want to reveal his true identity to the community just yet. Hyunwoo cradles Lucky and assures him that he's the only one for him. Then, above Lucky's head, a question mark appears, followed by an information window, from which Hyunwoo learns that his divine beast will evolve when it takes the final breath of 444 monsters. Stats will improve as you evolve, and you will learn new skills. Isn't that amazing? Lucky should evolve like the other divine beasts, but Hyunwoo is perplexed as to why his evolution requirement isn't exp accumulation. Does this mean that the people who said hunting 5,000 monsters was the evolution requirement for divine beasts were all wrong? In any case, because this is high-level information, Hyunwoo intends to sell it to the community later. Lucky, you're such a lucky charm. Hyunwoo cuddles the puppy close, but first you must force him to evolve. Lucky is already tearing orcs apart, so imagine what he'll be capable of once he evolves. If that happens, Hyunwoo will be able to solo kill the Annihilator Orc, which would be fantastic if he received a unique skill as a reward. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo decides to hunt more orcs with Lucky because last hitting 400 monsters will take time. Hyunwoo also wishes to employ the Dragon's Eye skill he learned from Sahullin. This will allow Hyunwoo to identify a target's weak points, and when he hits them, his magic attack will crit. Let's see how good this Dragon's Eye really is. Because God Wars lacks an auto-target system, the accuracy of a skill is critical. In reality, however, only the bare minimum is required because it makes no difference where you hit the monster as long as you hit it. That is no longer the case for Hyunwoo. Dragon's Eye has been activated. Long Toss is also activated by Hyunwoo, making it easier for him to target an orc from a distance. He can maximize the damage increase effect by hitting a monster's weak point from as far away as possible. Hyunwoo successfully hits an orc from the maximum range on his first try with the Dragon's Eye, which means the damage is amplified. He's also targeted a weak point, which is a critical hit. As a result, Hyunwoo is given a rune and the title Orc 1 Kill. He's overjoyed with his accomplishments, but he realizes he didn't allow Lucky to have some fun. So Hyunwoo apologizes to his companion and promises to lead the final hit to him the next time. Hyunwoo, exhausted from playing, sits in the capsule cafe. Hyunwoo, are you exhausted? Hyunwoo then consoles him before asking if he's recently visited the forest reeking of fish. As it turns out, there's a rumor that the odor has vanished. Hyunwoo wonders if it's because he killed the Hidden Dungeon's boss and not expecting his main scenario to have such a large impact on the world. Other players may notice that someone has completed the main scenario quests, so Hyunwoo must locate the Annihilator Orc as soon as possible. Later on, Lucky successfully kills 444 monsters. Lucky's body begins to change as the power of the Pantheon flows through it. Lucky is no longer the adorable puppy he once was. He has grown into a full-grown wolf. At the same time, the system requests that Hyunwoo choose a new ability for Lucky, but before he can, he realizes he has misnamed the Divine Beast. Instead of Lucky, you should have been Cheat Key, Hyunwoo says, looking at the glowing skill card in front of them. Hyunwoo can't believe that skill appeared, and with it, he believes he can now defeat the Annihilator Orc on his own. The Heinz party sleeps in the forest that night. People have been talking about the Rising Star Guild's Heinz party, but only 3 of them will go after the Annihilator Orc. While waiting for the Annihilator Orc, one party member inquires about the rotation and how many other parties are waiting, while another informs them that someone is attempting a solo kill. Of course, they can only speculate as to who that is. During a party game, everyone must follow a few ground rules. Any damage dealers should refrain from attacking until the tankers have safely seized aggro. But what if there was a skill that could take aggro at any time during a battle? In other news, Hyunwoo and Lucky are up against the Annihilator Orc. Lucky declares his will of life and death to the monster while doing so. This is a legendary skill in which the Divine Beast tests the target's will to life and death. Furthermore, the challenged target is unable to attack enemies other than the Divine Beast. Hyunwoo uses his Dragon's Eye to target the Annihilator Orc from behind before unleashing a fireball on it. Hyunwoo easily inflicts significant damage on the Annihilator Orc, and he knows it won't be long before they enter Phase 3. Around the same time, a Heinz party member encourages the others to watch the Annihilator Orc solo play. They debate why that player, aka Hyunwoo, chose to face the Annihilator Orc alone. Whatever his motivation, they're certain he'll struggle. It is not possible to deal with its Phase 3 Annihilator mode on your own. Hyunwoo and Lucky continue their fight against the Annihilator Orc, and they will soon enter Phase 3. Hyunwoo quickly orders Lucky to flee because he knows they can't afford to make a mistake right now. The presence of a tanker becomes increasingly important as the player's level increases. This is because long-distance damage dealers struggle to perform their role as enemies become stronger. However, if they have the mechanics that can distract the enemy while they deal damage, they won't need to rely on a tanker, regardless of their level. As he prepares to throw a fireball, Hyunwoo considers how he spent his entire life pitching a ball with every fiber of his being just for that moment. Hyunwoo eventually kills the Annihilator Orc. He is also given the titles Annihilator Orc Hunter, and the only one who faced the Annihilator Orc alone. Hyunwoo levels up at the same time because he has completed the quest conditions. Without further ado, Hyunwoo returns to Sahalin's house, and the NPC can't believe he's already there. Sahalin admits that she expected Hyunwoo to take longer, and she notices that the Archmage isn't hurt either. People, Sahalin is just being sarcastic. She can tell Hyunwoo is exhausted. As that is already a challenge for Hyunwoo, Sahalin declares that he has no right to hear the story about the Almighty. However, because Hyunwoo completed the mission, Sahalin is preparing to reward him. Sahalin uses her magic to give Hyunwoo her untradeable ring. Hyunwoo is taken aback by the gift and even shows it to Lucky, much to Sahalin's chagrin. "Stop making that dopey face," Sahalin says to Hyunwoo. Let's get to the main point. As a result, Sahalin tells the story. When the gods began using the world's creations to wage war, countless followers ran into battle for the gods they worshipped. Some of them achieved legendary results, but one did something that no one else could even come close to. He created the myth of being undefeated and bringing great results for the god he worshipped in every battle, becoming a figure feared by his enemies and envied by his allies. Sadly, despite his efforts, the war did not end. That's when he realized the war of the gods would never end, no matter how many battles he won. While listening to Sahalin, Hyunwoo realizes that legendary items aren't enough. The anonymous player then began looking for something that could go beyond legends, something that could permanently end the war. The Supreme Being? It is an omnipotent weapon capable of killing gods. Hyunwoo is then given the title knowing the Almighty class. When Sahalin asks if Hyunwoo wants to hear the rest of the story, the Archmage enthusiastically says yes. So Sahalin assigns him a task similar to the last time, which Hyunwoo predicted would happen. Sahalin orders Hyunwoo to capture 1,000 zombies in the Cursed Forest, and the main scenario is updated with a new quest. Of course, Hyunwoo believes he only needs to find the monster with a quest item once more, only to discover in the quest window that there are materials required to investigate the cursed forest and that he must capture 1,000 zombies. Hyunwoo is surprised and asks Sahalin if he really needs to capture 1,000, but the NPC mocks him and demands to know if he doesn't want to do the quest. No, the Archmage says, "I love it." That's right. Later, inside the capsule cafe, Hyunwoo considers how long it will take him to capture 1,000 zombies. Then Hyukju tells him that he received a call earlier, and when he checks his phone, he discovers a missed call from Taewoo. Hyunwoo can only hope that nothing bad has happened again and quickly calls his brother back, but Hyun only wants to tell him that she won an award for the drawing she made the last time. Hyunwoo is overjoyed, and to top it all off, Hyun won first place in the city. Her work will also be displayed in the next competition. So Hyunwoo decides to celebrate and instructs Taewoo to inform Hyun that they will be having fried chicken for dinner. Unfortunately, Hyun isn't sure which flavor to get, and she doesn't want to ask Hyunwoo to buy a lot of chicken for her. This is because Hyunwoo previously did not have enough money to buy his niece whatever she desired. But that is no longer the case. Uncle is having a good time baiting. Hyunwoo then tells Taewoo that he'll order every flavor, which shocks the girl. Asterisk sniffs, asterisk Taewoo, eat your heart out. Hyunwoo is now more determined to capture 1,000 zombies. Meanwhile, Hyukju admires Hyunwoo for doing everything he can for his family and refusing to give up, especially after what happened with his old account. Then Hyukju is distracted by a new video on Wars TV. The next day, Hyunwoo returns to the capsule cafe and notices Hyukju, who is looking at something on his phone. When Hyunwoo inquires, Hyukju responds that Wars TV has posted a new video, which has quickly become a trending topic. According to Hyukju, it's about a rich guy solo killing a boss by being overjeered. Hyunwoo is irritated because rich guys like this player are ruining the game's atmosphere. When he asks what the player killed, he discovers that it was the Annihilator Orc. So Hyunwoo, the video is about you. Curious, Hyunwoo is watching Wars TV when the host discussed the solo Annihilator Orc kill, which reveals the ugly truth about item-dependent games. Lucky can be seen in the video facing the Annihilator Orc, who is hit on the back by a fireball. According to the gameplay, the Divine Beast appears to be a tank. People are claiming that because of the Divine Beast, it does not count as a solo kill, and Hyunwoo is perplexed. And to think he was working so hard to go unnoticed. If Hyunwoo had known what was going to happen, he would have sent them the footage he shot himself. Simultaneously, he wonders if it is too late to leak the context to the community at this point. While Hyunwoo is watching the video, Hyukju declares that brats who place too much trust in their items are a problem. As a result, Hyunwoo reminds him that the player who defeated the Annihilator Orc did not kill anyone and may be a nice person. Hyukju, on the other hand, recalls Hyunwoo saying a few days ago that rich men should all be hit by a truck or electrocuted and die. He then tells Hyukju that in order to live a comfortable life, he should think of others before asking him to prepare the capsule because he's going back to the game. Later in the Cursed Forest, Hyunwoo tries to be cautious because it's so dark he can't see anything. A player can also be easily surrounded and annihilated by monsters in that forest. It is one of the hunting grounds that many players avoid. Fortunately, Hyunwoo has the Dragon's Eye, so he can hunt zombie orcs with his ice arrow. Hyunwoo has hunted 74 zombies so far. He should have been able to track down 100 of them by now, but Lucky is holding him back. Lucky smells something, and it turns out to be a black herb. This herb costs 20,000 won per piece, so Hyunwoo must dig it up. Lucky then notices something else, but this time isn't an item. Lucky discovers an NPC lying on the ground, but he is unfamiliar to Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo immediately asks the man if he's alright, but instead of answering, the NPC asks who he is. Then Hyunwoo introduces himself as Midas, an adventurer from the city of Wygar. He also adds that he will assist the NPC with anything he requires, such as looking for stolen property or providing an escort back to town. Of course, Hyunwoo isn't doing it for the sake of receiving something in return. Ahem. Despite his confusion, the NPC thanks Hyunwoo and reveals his name is Yoshi. Yoshi is embarrassed, but he admits that he has no one else to turn to except Hyunwoo. He informs Hyunwoo that he requires 100 curse traces from the zombies, and the Archmage agrees without hesitation. When someone asked 3rd-ranked player Asmo how he leveled up so quickly, he replied, "It's simple. Carry unique and legendary items, borrow the power of legendary skills, and quickly solo kill monsters 10 to 20 levels higher than you." Oh, that's not so difficult. That is exactly what Hyunwoo is doing right now, and it won't be long before he has killed 200 zombies. Hyunwoo never expected leveling up to be so simple, and you make sure to tell Lucky how well he did. He then decides to take a short break, but Lucky detects something. Another NPC named Jack requests that Hyunwoo return to the city of Weiger once he has hunted down the zombie orcs. In exchange, Jack will reward the Archmage. The inquisitive Hyunwoo checks the quest window and finds it strange that despite the Cursed Forest's unpopularity, he received 2 field quests and hasn't encountered any competitors. He also notices that he hasn't seen anyone from the Explorer Guild since he arrived, which leads him to believe that today is his lucky day. What are your thoughts, Lucky? Later, Hyunwoo travels to Weiger and meets with Jack. Following that, Hyunwoo examines the quest reward and discovers a rare skill called Fire Elemental Mastery. He's also getting ready to open the reward he received from Yoshi, and he and Lucky are both excited to see what it is. Things have been going well for Hyunwoo recently, and as a result, he has been able to provide for his family. However, because of a video posted to Wars TV, there is a chance that Hyunwoo's identity will be revealed to the community. Understandably, he doesn't want that to happen just yet because he'll suddenly have a lot of competition. That could also endanger his family. So aside from doing everything he can to level up with Lucky and earn more money, he's now doing everything he can to earn more money. Hyunwoo eventually logs out of God Wars and runs into Hyukju outside his capsule. Hyukju remarks that Hyunwoo has been playing for an extended period of time without a break, noting that he has only played for 4 hours and 44 minutes, which is an unlucky combination of numbers. Concerned, Hyukju inquires if everything is fine, but the Archmage streamer advises him to give him some space because he believes he's going insane. That is, going insane from happiness. Yoshi's earlier reward turns out to be a high-level skill called Ballista. It increases the damage of magical attacks if the spellcaster does not move and decreases spell cooldown and casting time. With this, Hyunwoo can have a significant impact simply by standing in the back away from the enemies. He's not going to sell it because it works so well with his other skills, Dragon's Eye and Long Toss. Hyunwoo then checks his DMs and notices that many people have messaged him in response to his Slayer Orc solo kill video. Many companies have offered to buy his content and sign an exclusive contract with him, which Hyunwoo has been anticipating given the rarity of solo kill videos. He is irritated by a particular Rising Star offer because it is only $100. But wait, Hyunwoo realizes he miscalculated the sum. They're going to give you $10,000? Surely this has to be a joke, right? That could be true. But Hyunwoo notices that the account has been verified. The promotion is from the Rising Star channel, which values quality over quantity. They've been rapidly gaining subscribers as a result of their excellent videos and advertising. They also highlight rising newbies as their primary content. If he signs a contract with them, Hyunwoo will no longer have to worry about selling the Ballista skill to make some much-needed cash. So he taps reply, but then changes his mind because it won't look good if he personally contacts the seller about selling his video. Hyunwoo has all the makings of a successful businessman. Let's see what he comes up with next. Meanwhile, at the Rising Star headquarters, Secretary Kim asks channel president Park Young-jun if $10,000 is too much to ask. The young president asserts confidently that he knows the Archmage streamer's abilities aren't genuine. Young-jun believes the streamer obtained it by being over-equipped with cheat skills and the Divine Beast, implying that Hyunwoo is a wealthy whale with a lot of money to spend on the game, which is completely false. Which begs the question, why did this guy waste so much money? Young-jun inquires of the secretary. Secretary Kim is perplexed by the question, but the president explains that if the Archmage streamer purchased a level-up service from the Explorer Guild, they would gladly allow him to level up. Young-jun, on the other hand, is perplexed as to why the streamer went out of his way and put himself in danger to complete a solo kill challenge. Because he wants attention, the president explains. He believes the Archmage streamer is desperate for attention and is willing to shill money like crazy if given the opportunity to sign a contract with a premium channel like Rising Stars. Young-jun and Secretary Kim anticipate that their offer will be accepted, but the president is already making plans. He's considering a meal and drinks with them, and if the opportunity arises, he'll make a business proposal. Young-jun is certain that the Archmage streamer must be a multimillionaire, so $10,000 is nothing in comparison to the opportunity to get closer to someone like that. Oh, if only they'd known how much money Hyunwoo had before opening his account. Secretary Kim then informs the president that they have received a message from Archmage streamer. Young-jun guarantees that the first sentence will state that he is from a company rather than an individual, and lo and behold, the president is correct. This is Archmage Entertainment, reads the message. After reading the message, Secretary Kim informs Young-jun that Archmage streamer has stated that the offer will be seriously considered. The president smiles and declares that it is time to begin leeching onto the streamer. Meanwhile, in the Cursed Forest, Hyunwoo is slaying zombie orcs with his new Ballista skill. He poses like a baseball pitcher and unleashes a lightning-fast fireball. Because of the increased damage caused by the skill's effects, Hyunwoo's attack instantly defeats the horde of zombies without requiring him to move an inch from his position. You completed the main quest requirements. After completing the quest, Hyunwoo returns to Sahalin's house where the NPC asks him what he thought while defeating 1,000 monsters. So the Archmage shares his knowledge, claiming that the source of the fishy odor in the forest was the rotting orc at the nameless god's altar. What if the cursed forest is always under the influence of a nameless god? Sahalin compliments Hyunwoo on his observations. Hyunwoo believes it was a clear pattern, and he expects Sahalin to assign him another quest to defeat the cursed forest's boss monster. Sahalin informs our player, as if on cue, that his next task is to figure out why the forest is cursed. Everything is going as planned, and all that remains is for Sahalin to give Hyunwoo his reward for defeating all of the monsters in the forest. Unexpectedly, Sahalin tells him to leave, but our man isn't leaving without a reward. So he tells her to wait and tries to persuade Sahalin that he worked hard to kill 1,000 zombies. The NPC looks at him blankly and asks, "So what? Is this a system error?" Hyunwoo is frustrated by the development, but he is determined to make something of his efforts. As a result, he attempts to leave and return to the room as if resetting a game. But before he can do so, Sahalin finally relents and hands him a skill book as a token of her gratitude. Hyunwoo smiles as he expresses his gratitude and instructs Lucky to howl for him. "Lucky, you're a good boy." Then he activates the book and waits for the reveal of another one-of-a-kind skill card. Hyunwoo prays to God and Buddha for a good outcome, and a unique skill card called Double Casting appears before him. He refers to Lucky as a cheat key once more, and Hyunwoo is truly amassing all of the game's OP abilities. Hyunwoo later exits his capsule. Kukju greets him enthusiastically and informs him that people are going crazy on the internet. Our player wonders what's going on, and Kukju explains that it's because a double casting skill card has suddenly become available for purchase after being unavailable for a long time. Hyunwoo surmises that someone else has obtained a tradable card, so he inquires as to how much it is worth online. It's $60,000, and our man can't believe what he's just heard. Because of the sheer number and variety of items in God Wars, it took some time before prices were set for them. Skill cards were especially difficult to value because it was difficult to see their worth until research on each skill's effect was completed. Skills that were obviously good, such as Hyunwoo's double casting, were among the exceptions. If the card he received was tradable, he admits that deciding whether to sell it would be difficult. Suddenly, Hyunwoo receives an email in his inbox. Meanwhile, at Rising Star HQ, Secretary Kim wonders if it was a good idea to send a new video contract to the Archmage streamer. They demanded a solo kill recording of the Ragged Sorcerer and offered a hopping $12,950 in exchange. President Youngjun is confident in sending the message despite the secretary's reservations. He then inquires of Secretary Kim about the streamer's chances of solo killing the boss with his current specs. The secretary mulls it over and concludes that it is virtually impossible. However, that is not the point. Youngjun observes that they are interested in his reaction to their message. If their analysis is correct, Secretary Kim believes the streamer will accept their offer. Following that, they believe the Archmage streamer will wail for items, and Youngjun estimates that he will spend at least $50,000 on skills and items to defeat the Ragged Sorcerer. The president confidently smiles and says, "And so we'll have a relationship where we're willing to spend some money for each other." Things appear to be going according to Youngjun's plan, but Secretary Kim is perplexed as to why they only offered $12,950 rather than $15,000. The president explains that it is part of his strategy to make the streamer believe he will be paid as much as possible. Youngjun intends to gain Hyunwoo's favor and are currently playing mind games. He smiles and says he knows all of this because he attended the Wharton School. Hyunwoo has returned to the Cursed Forest with his newly acquired Slayer Orc set. Our guy's drip is flawless, but Hyunwoo is still shaken by the high cost of the new set. He can resell the equipment later, so it's a better investment than skill cards. Hyunwoo appears to be not only business-minded but also financially responsible. Unfortunately, he also purchased two skills, Lightning Bolt and Fire Spear. In the past, this would have been a bad idea, but Hyunwoo is flush with cash right now, so I can't blame him for finally spending money on skills for the first time. Hyunwoo tears up as he embraces Lucky. He begs his divine beast that they must succeed in solo killing the boss no matter what because he has spent all of his savings. He is aware that Rising Star is putting him through his paces to determine whether he is a player worth investing in. Hyunwoo knows this is his chance to shine, so he's not afraid to go all in and ensure the mission's success no matter what. Hyunwoo later encounters members of the Explorer Guild. The guild members immediately notice the dog divine beasts and realize they're conversing with Archmage Streamer. One man inquires if there is a problem, but Hyunwoo responds that there isn't because he is safe and sound thanks to the hard work of the Explorer Guild members who work day and night. The two members are taken aback by this statement and they wonder if he is mocking them in some way. Things could quickly get heated here, but guild members recall being warned not to mess with the Archmage Streamer because he could become a VIP. Hyunwoo then pulls out 2 bottles of potions and offers them to the guild members as a stress reliever. He says he's sure they want coffee, but since that's not available in God Wars, he gets them something similar. The guild members are hesitant to accept the unexpectedly expensive gift, but Hyunwoo displays his big smile and insists they accept it because he appreciates their efforts. Other adventurers nearby notice Hyunwoo conversing with Explorer Guild members and comment on his overly friendly demeanor. They conclude that the rumors about the Archmage Streamer using the Explorer Guild's VIP service are true, which explains how quickly he leveled up. The adventurer then warns them that if they mess with the streamer, they will be in big trouble because he has the Explorer Guild's support. Hyunwoo, despite his aloof and carefree demeanor, has been listening in on their conversation. In reality, everything is going as planned. Giving away free potions in front of everyone is just one step toward his goal. For the time being, he'll appear to be protected by the Explorers Guild, and for Hyunwoo, 2 potions are a small price to pay to reduce the number of variables in his solo kill attempt. However, he recalls that this will only last a week at most, so he must complete his quest within that time frame. A scream echoes through the night deep in the forest. A horde zombie orc stands with a ragged sorcerer, wielding a menacing staff with several skulls attached on top as a group of adventurers flee for their lives. Hyunwoo wastes no time and launches an attack with lightning bolt and fire spear, dispatching a slew of zombie orcs. With a smile, he remarks that simply throwing the spear one-shots the monsters, but a notification abruptly informs him that his mana has already dropped below 0%. He drinks a mana recovery potion out of desperation, wondering how many he'll have to drink. If Hyunwoo continues to double cast, he will quickly deplete his mana and potions, which are expensive per piece. Just then, Lucky dispatches a monster and Hyunwoo recalls that he is accompanied by his divine beast dog. Our good boy is gone. A notification then informs Hyunwoo that he has leveled up to 30. As a result, the level up bonus fully replenished his HP and MP, which couldn't have come at a better time. Did he drink his potion for no apparent reason? On the bright side, the war-loving dragon provides Hyunwoo with an opportunity to grow by allowing him to choose a skill card from a variety of options. Among the blue cards, our player notices a single red unique rank skill card. He figures he doesn't need anything else to take on the ragged sorcerer, but another attack spell would be nice. He doesn't really need it, but he chooses one anyway because Lucky is waiting for him. Hyunwoo is surprised to find a strength skill card, which strengthens a target and expands the range of all skills affected by strength. Although this isn't what our player expected, he believes it's a must-have for all battle mages like him because it boosts physical and magical skills. He could use it on Lucky, but what about himself? He mulls over this idea for a moment before realizing one crucial detail he overlooked: increases range. As a result, Hyunwoo chooses the skill card. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, adventurers are fighting a horde of zombies. Owol, the swordsman, inquires of their archer as to how many zombies remain. The purple-haired man responds that there is nothing else around. Despite this, the swordsman is still on high alert after nearly dying in an ambush the last time. So the archer reassures him by telling him that he just scanned the area with his eagle eye skill, and that the only thing within a 50 meters radius is the zombie in front of them. The monster approaches them, but just as the adventurers are about to attack it, a fireball lands on the zombie orc's back. Owol is surprised because he thought there was nothing nearby, but the archer sticks to his original statement. Because there is nothing within 50 meters, the swordsman wonders where the fireball came from, given that no one in their party uses fire magic. It doesn't make sense, but the solution is straightforward. It came from more than 50 meters away, explains the archer. Hyunwoo, who is more than 50 meters away, is taken aback by his long-range fireball attack. Despite his initial reluctance to select the strength skill, he is now glad he did because he had not expected strength's effect to affect projectile magic range. Overall, the new skill works well with Long Toss, Dragon's Eye, and even Ballista. Furthermore, it increases Lucky's battle power, and the Divine Beast Dog is now powerful enough to fight strong opponents on its own. Hyunwoo is truly amassing all the powerful abilities as if they were legendary Pokemon. You've got to catch them all. With these new upgrades, Hyunwoo believes it is time to recalculate his abilities and skills. His attack range has increased to about 100 meters, and if he includes Lucky's upgraded battle capacity. Wait, isn't he a little OP at this point? Is it really this simple to solo the Ragged Sorcerer at my level? Hyunwoo is perplexed. Meanwhile, the earlier adventurers are ganging up on a lone adventurer, accusing him of stealing the monster they were hunting. The poor fellow wonders what Owool is on about and explains that he's been doing nothing but hunting in the area. The archer tells the swordsman to stop wasting his strength on him, but Owool insists on pursuing the lone adventurer today. The archer reprimands him once more, telling him that no one in the area is strong enough to kill an orc in one hit. Oh, if only they'd known about Archmage Streamer. And as if on cue, he notices other adventurers in the distance and overhears them discussing the Archmage Streamer, who is attempting to kill the Ragged Sorcerer alone. When they hear this, the two adventurers stare at each other, unsure what to do next. Hyunwoo, on the other hand, arrives at the boss area and begins recording. He practices his streamer voice and confidently greets his audience. As he approaches the Ragged Sorcerer, he boldly declares to his stream that he has come to solo kill the fearsome zombie boss today. However, Hyunwoo believes that simply killing the monster would be boring, so he proposes a condition to keep things interesting. How come we can't do it without taking a single hit? Immediately after, our Archmage Streamer casts lightning and fire on both hands and launches an attack on the two-handed Ragged Sorcerer. Hyunwoo's fire spear strikes its target, igniting one of the monster's heads. The Ragged Sorcerer yells angrily, but Hyunwoo smiles back, pleased that the battle has finally begun. The monster then pours energy into its staff, releasing powerful purple magic that brings the zombie orcs around it back to life. The Ragged Sorcerer is about to complete its spell, but Lucky barks at the monster just in time and bites the neck of one of its heads. The good boy deals damage to the boss zombie orc before fleeing to a safe distance, but he's not finished yet. Lucky bites one of the monster's arms, and Hyunwoo notices that Lucky's attacks are successfully preventing the monster from casting spells. Because the monster is now vulnerable, Hyunwoo decides to corner the Ragged Sorcerer. He easily takes out most of the small fries in the area with ice and lightning magic, but the zombie boss is still quite far away from Hyunwoo. Fortunately, the dragon's eye skill does not have this limitation. Our player notices the Ragged Sorcerer is about 60 meters away. After locking in on his target, Hyunwoo announces to his stream that he will now be a stationary attack cannon. The Archmage Streamer activates Ballista and Long Toss while striking a baseball pitcher pose and shouting, "Let me show you a hot, flaming damage that shouldn't be possible at this level. Let him know you're OP, Hyunwoo." Our player fires his fire spear like a powerful cannon, and his attack deals significant damage right away. Hyunwoo is about to launch another attack when he is distracted by an adventurer who appears out of nowhere in front of him. Owool and the archer, hiding behind nearby trees, chastise their party member for almost revealing their location. The adventurer then apologizes and returns to the safety of the trees. Meanwhile, the swordsman is relieved that Archmage Streamer didn't notice him because he believes the streamer is hyper-focused. Owool gives his members a devious smile and tells them they can't let go of the valuable item dropped by the Ragged Sorcerer, so he asks the archer if he's sure he can deal with the last hit. Of course, the archer says he can and informs Owool that he has already figured out the streamer guy's attack patterns. As Hyunwoo continues to fight the Ragged Sorcerer, Owool warns his party members to be ready when the monster enters its third phase and activates its spell Zombie Assembly, which gathers all the zombies in the area. Because the gathered zombies will only recognize players who have attacked the Ragged Sorcerer, the thieving adventurers will swoop in and steal the last hit, which will be their only chance, while the small fries ambush our streamer. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo notices an increase in magical power in the area and predicts that all of the zombies in the field will arrive soon. They've reached Phase 3, but our player is surprised because he inflicted more damage than expected and got there faster. Unexpectedly, Hyunwoo decides it's time for some light stretching and stands up, making a comedic face for his audience. But he knows deep down that the thieving adventurers are hiding behind the trees preparing to steal his kill. Hyunwoo dislikes people who take the easy way out, so I'm sure these guys will be in big trouble soon. The Ragged Sorcerer smiles evilly, but Hyunwoo is unaffected. He confidently declares to his stream that it is time to demonstrate his ultimate technique, his fifth magic spell. When Owool and the archers see this, they call our streamer an idiot and rush in to steal a kill. However, the swordsman notices something strange that causes him to pause. Hyunwoo, the well-known Archmage Streamer who fights from afar, is charging at the Ragged Sorcerer with a massive axe. Lucky barks his support for his master, and then Hyunwoo slashes the boss monster's neck with his axe. The unexpected method of attack stuns Owool and the archer, leaving them no room to sneak in. But wait, they're wondering how the streamer did so much damage with an axe as a magician. "You killed the Ragged Sorcerer," says the notification, and our victorious player wipes sweat from his brow. It's a mission victory, so he returns to his stream and asks what they thought of his ultimate move, a strength buff. He thanks his viewers for watching, and of course he mentions the thieving adventurers who were watching him as witnesses. Hyunwoo hopes it wasn't too boring for them, and the adventurers are now terrified that if they are caught by their guild, they will have to abandon God Wars. So the guys leave, and Hyunwoo smiles because his scarecrow trick was successful. Back at Sahalin's house, the NPC greets him. But our guy isn't doing so well as he kneels on the floor to catch his breath. He admits to nearly pissing himself earlier, but his trick worked on the foolish adventurers. He then clenches his fist and reminds himself that he has finally accomplished a solo kill. Our boy did it, but don't worry about his trembling. He's content, but the nerves remain. Sahalin interrupts his moment and asks if he completed the task she assigned to him. Hyunwoo relaxes and says yes, explaining that a certain stone has most likely cursed the forest. He hands Sahalin a green cursed stone. To Hyunwoo's surprise, the NPC immediately breaks open its barriers and reveals a glowing red shard inside. Sahalin then thanks the streamer for discovering the truth and summons a stick with her magic. Hyunwoo catches it and discovers it's called Sahalin's Staff, and it contains strong magical power as well as a slew of stat boosts for the player. Our guy is surprised by the stats, but Sahalin remains serious as she asks the Archmage why the shard is rejecting her mana. When Hyunwoo asks if it has an owner, Sahalin says yes, and that it is still connected to the real owner. She says she'll need to make a compass to find the owner, and then she gives Archmage Streamer another mission. Go to the Dorito mines and find the blacksmith named Zuga. A new quest has been created in the main scenario quest line. President Yeonjun and Secretary Kim receive an email from the Archmage Streamer containing a video of the Ragged Sorcerer's solo kill. Despite the useful video attached to the email, the president is more concerned with the last sentence, which states that the streamer anticipates good results. The secretary inquires as to the significance of that message, and the president reveals that the Archmage is currently testing them. The tide has turned, and Hyunwoo now has the upper hand. President Yeonjun then inquires of the secretary whether or not he has noticed any changes since the streamer's previous video. He responds that the Archmage streamer's items and skills have increased, but the president singles out the double casting skill. He brings up the recent auction of the aforementioned skill card, which the seller abruptly removed from the auction for unknown reasons. Yeonjun, on the other hand, is certain that the skill card was purchased for a higher price in a private message. Secretary Kim wonders if this is the Archmage streamer. The president claps his hands, confirming the secretary's guess, and then goes on to recap the most recent developments in their relationship with the Archmage streamer, from their first negotiations to the streamer's most recent solo kill video and message. He believes those words about good results have meaning, and the secretary speculates that it could be a warning about the video quality they will produce. The president orders Secretary Kim to re-edit the first Archmage streamer video and improve its quality while increasing promotional funds. If our guest is someone wild, and we have to treat them wildly as well, President Yeonjun says, accepting Archmage streamer's challenge. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo arrives at the Dorito Mines, a hunting ground for level 40 mid-game players. Because there are no field monsters in this area, the only way to level up is to enter the instance dungeon that appears on a regular basis around the mine. Hyunwoo believes it is a system in which inept users who are unable to form a party will be left behind one by one. Even so, those with the party would face the same difficulties. What happens if a 6-man party discovers a dungeon that only 5 men can enter? The player with the lowest level or contribution would be eliminated, and Hyunwoo believes this is a sad situation. At the same time, he discovers that the Dorito Mines is a testing ground for distinguishing the Jade among the numerous God Wars users. Hyunwoo was always the one who was kicked off the team, but things have changed dramatically. He's now OP, and if we're being honest, he probably beat everyone in any dungeon. Finally, Hyunwoo arrives at a bright area within the mines and meets the dwarf blacksmith Zuga, the subject of his main scenario quest. The dwarf is taken aback by our player's unexpected visit and inquires as to what business our player has with him. Hyunwoo introduces himself and states that he has come in response to Sahalin's instructions. He explains that he needs to make a compass out of a cursed stone, and Zuga immediately recognizes his predicament. The dwarf remarks that working with a mage and her foul personality must be difficult, to which our player responds with a dry smile while denying the statement. Unexpectedly, Zuga reveals that he is familiar with her personality and that Sahalin must have requested something ridiculous whenever she wanted. Hyunwoo, surprised, believes he has finally met an NPC who will work well with him. He sighs and admits to having his share of problems, but Sahalin must have had her reasons. Zuga compliments him on his excellent character before instructing him to examine his necklace. The dwarf reveals that it is made of soul metal, which can only be obtained in the mines, and that it is an item that only responds to the owner's specific magic. Hyunwoo asks if he just needs to mine more of the material, but Zuga says no, because he can do the mining himself. When Hyunwoo hears this, he smiles and thinks he likes the dwarf. However, Zuga unexpectedly says, "If you were to clean up the dungeon so I can mine safely, that'd be great." The old man smiles and adds that there aren't many instance dungeons because there are only 111. So much for Hyunwoo's plans to take it easy this time. You're off to work. Outside, Hyunwoo's frustrated, so he vents by talking smack about Zuga. That's a strange name. Besides, Hyunwoo's perplexed as to why he needs to clean 111 dungeons. Why not limit it to 100 words or less? It's very specific, but our guy brushes it off and decides to film some solo-carrying content. He asks Lucky if he's prepared, but Hyunwoo notices an exclamation mark above Lucky's head. Hyunwoo is taken aback, but this means Lucky is ready to fight. He gives the cute doll a hug and thanks him for agreeing to carry him this time. Good work, young man. Hyunwoo feeds Lucky various buffs and potions inside a dungeon, increasing his strength, maximum health, and speed. Despite the fact that Hyunwoo has already given Lucky a lot of treats, he is unsure whether the dog will be powerful enough to meet the evolution condition of solo-killing 99 monsters. Despite this, Lucky smiles, ready to fight. However, Hyunwoo takes precautions and prepares his fire magic in case his dog is in danger. It's finally time to hunt, and Lucky spots and growls at a few kobolds right away. The dog attacks the monsters with lightning speed, and Hyunwoo wonders if he will be okay alone. Lucky goes out to hunt the monsters, and the next thing you know, the last kobold is killed in an attack. Hyunwoo was worrying too much, so he tells Lucky it's time for more as they continue deeper into the dungeon. Later, Lucky finally gets his 99th kill, and a notification informs Hyunwoo that God's power is flowing through Lucky and changing his body. Lucky glows bright orange and gains new abilities from the god. Finally, Hyunwoo must choose the dog's new abilities. With so many skill cards in front of him, he hopes to draw a useful skill, and luckily, a legendary rank skill card appears. It's called Extreme Speed, and it grants users a 5-minute boost in attack power and speed. It's essentially another OP skill, but this time for the majestic and powerful Lucky. At this point, should I instead make Lucky TV? Hyunwoo amazes me, and I say go for it. Later that night, a few adventurers come across Hyunwoo, who is cuddling his divine beast just outside the dungeon. They wonder if he's crying, but Hyunwoo is overjoyed because Lucky just cleared a dungeon in 9 seconds. "I'll only pledge loyalty to Sir Lucky," our player says, saluting his divine beast. Lucky appreciates the compliments and praise, but then he smells the odor of a nearby hidden dungeon. Hyunwoo is pleased to find the dungeon, especially since it contains a skill card book reward, so he gladly leads Sir Lucky to the secret dungeon. When the adventurers nearby see this, they laugh at Hyunwoo for carrying his divine beast, and they think he's some kind of freak. Meanwhile, Secretary Kim, back at Rising Star HQ, informs President Jung Hyunwoo that the edited Slayer Orc video has been re-uploaded. The president examines the tablet and mocks the streamer for naming himself Archmage Streamer because it isn't unique or original. He then inquires about the reactions to the video, and Secretary Kim informs him that the rate at which the views are rising isn't too bad. Just then, an employee enters the room and inquires if he has requested this. The man displays a screenshot of a comment from Asmo, God War's 3rd-ranked player, which reads, "Oh, it was legit." It's a design I've never seen before on a staff. Asmo the Great. His wealth exceeds $10 billion because he is one of Saudi Arabia's princes. He was well known for being the owner as well as a member of his esports team, and he was also well known for spending $1 million to obtain the Archmage class. He's wealthy and a collector, and he possesses the most wealth within God Wars. He has also pioneered the experimentation of the performance of various items and skills, which he would do for fun in the name of content in his live streams. Secretary Kim is now wondering if there is an item in God Wars that Asmo has never seen before. President Jung Hyunwoo says it's understandable given that God Wars is still in its early stages. The more pressing issue, however, is Asmo's expression, which asks if it was legitimate. The president invites Secretary Kim to consider his remark further. Would a major figure like Asmo leave a comment on War Stew without a specific goal in mind? Jung Hyunwoo is well aware that the prince has no spare time, so someone had to inform him of the situation. He believes this someone was either the Archmage Streamer or a third party close to both the Archmage Streamer and Asmo. In any case, the president believes he has discovered a connection between the two Archmages, which could not be further from the truth. Having said that, Jung Hyunwoo admits to making mistakes along the way. But now he recognizes that the Archmage Streamer is a big shot who far outperforms his expectations. As a result, he directs Secretary Kim to send another email to the streamer, informing him that the profit distribution will be increased to 6-4 for every video, with them being the 4. A secretary is astounded and wonders if there is anything left for them. President Young reassures Secretary Kim, telling him that the Archmage streamer will be their key to success because he is betting everything on it. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo is engaged in combat with the hidden dungeon boss, a level 42 mole dog. Our player admits that if he were a normal user, he would have trouble defeating this boss because it moves constantly through the tunnels. However, because of his abilities, Hyunwoo can predict where it will attack, making it no different than a game of whack-a-mole. He shoots the mole dog with his ice arrow just as it is about to spring at him. You have successfully defeated a mole dog. Hyunwoo claims the dungeon card reward, which is a unique rank skill card, now that he has cleared the hidden dungeon. Chain Lightning, Prison Ball, and Lightning Shield. These skills pique Hyunwoo's interest, but Lightning Shield takes the cake because it is a defensive skill. He already has an abundance of attack magic skills, and Lightning Shield would be beneficial to Lucky as well. While the adorable Divine Beast awaits Hyunwoo's decision, our player thinks it would work well with the other buffer skills, but he wonders if he should instead look for more buffer skills. He remembers a skill called Haste, which would allow them to try time attacks. It's a skill that summons a wind fairy to increase offensive and defensive movement speed. It's extremely useful, but it's also extremely expensive. Just then, the game logs Hyunwoo out for exceeding his time limit. But then he returns and recalls that Haste is worth 6 million won. It's nearly a month's worth of living expenses, but Hyunwoo reframes his thinking to consider it an investment for the future. As a result, he purchases it and learns the skill. All preparations are complete, and they are ready to attempt a time attack. Hyunwoo enters the low-level dungeon, which can be found throughout the Dorito mines. When compared to a track, these dungeons have the shortest distance, so most players attempt the time attack to become famous on War Stew. Sasaki Kojiro, a top 10 ranker and legendary rank Sword Emperor, achieved the shortest solo time of 4 minutes and 11 seconds, according to Hyunwoo. The record was set many years ago and has yet to be broken. Hyunwoo knows that breaking that record is nearly impossible for him, but Lucky is a different story and getting close to it is sufficient. As a result, he begins by buffing Lucky with his strength and haste abilities. He also gives him a bunch of stat-boosting items, and Lucky is ready to go when our guy presses record. Hyunwoo greets everyone and informs his viewers that he will attempt a time attack in the Dorito mines, but with a twist. It will be done solely by Lucky. Lucky is perplexed by what our man just said, but when Hyunwoo informs him that it's his streaming debut, the powerful Divine Beast rushes in, engulfed by a lightning shield. The kobolds in the dungeon are taken aback, but Lucky attacks them one by one before they have a chance to defend themselves. The notifications begin to pour in, informing Hyunwoo of each defeated kobold. The dog is moving quickly, and as Hyunwoo predicted, Lucky will be able to clear the dungeon on his own. Lucky kills more and more monsters, and after a while, our player admits that things are moving faster than he anticipated. Wait, am I about to beat the record time? He ponders, but then to his left, a notification appears informing him that he has completed the dungeon. Lucky lets out a majestic howl, as if on cue, to celebrate his success. Hyunwoo can't believe it, especially since the Lightning Shield's 5-minute timer is still running. That was lightning fast, and our good boy deserves a treat after that performance. Hyunwoo later relaxes in the Capsule Cafe's lounge. Hekju wonders if something is wrong with our guy because he smells like medicine, and Hyunwoo explains that he took some heart-calming pills. Hekju then sighs and tells him to take care of himself because his family is expecting him. Hyunwoo has his hand on his brow and he's sweating profusely but not feeling sick. He had previously broken the record with Lucky, who finished in 9 seconds. Hyunwoo considers himself fortunate to have recorded it, as there were fewer monsters than usual. But he has one burning question. How will Rising Star react to this? Hyunwoo is already considering the views and reactions to his video. As the Archmage streamer, he has not only become a powerful Archmage, but also a savvy businessman. After completing many of Sahalin's tasks, he has progressed further down the main quest storyline. He's currently working in the mines, clearing dungeons. His goal is to clear 111 instance dungeons, but he'll be done in no time with his super-fast Divine Beast, Lucky, by his side. He'll be back in Zuga soon, and the dwarf will be surprised by his lightning-fast work pace. Thank you, viewers who have always faithfully watched the videos on this channel from start to finish. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video if you enjoy our content. See you in the next video.